Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I am so happy because I just heard that today, June 28th, 2019, is the start of the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale. Wonderful. So that means that the Criterion titles, if purchased through the Barnes & Noble website or at a Barnes & Noble store, in the United States, are 50% off. So that's the sale, the Criterion sale. So it's on right now. So you can go to your nearest Barnes & Noble right now, or you can visit the Barnes & Noble website and purchase Criterion Collection titles at 50% off. This is very exciting news indeed. It's wonderful that Barnes & Noble is still doing this. So my friends, for those of you who are able to take part in this Barnes & Noble sale, I would love to hear the titles that you end up purchasing. If you have a moment, please share with me what Criterion titles you've gotten, and maybe you can leave a list in the comment section below or in future videos that I might put up. I'd love to hear what you got. This is a really great time. And as usual, I like to live vicariously through your own excitement and experiences. And so if I don't personally partake in the sale, that doesn't mean I can't enjoy myself. And so that means it's really so much fun for me to learn what it is that you've purchased and the exciting titles that you've gotten. So that gives me an indication as to what kinds of films that you're interested in exploring, where you are in terms of your own personal tastes in cinema and the like, and that's always so fascinating to me. So if you have a moment, my friends, please, I'd love to hear what you have gotten at the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale this month. Again, it's for the month of July, and it'll end, I think, at the beginning of August. So just check the dates to be sure. Go to the Barnes & Noble website and just check those dates to be absolutely sure. And also for those of you who are living outside of US or North America, again, I'm not sure as to the ability of people outside of this territory to be able to order through the Barnes & Noble website. I haven't done so in the longest time, so I don't know if their rules have changed or anything like that. And I probably won't be doing any purchases through the Barnes & Noble website anyway, so I won't be able to help you. But if any of you, for instance, those of you who are in Europe or elsewhere outside of the North America, if you're able to make purchases via the Barnes & Noble website, please let me know, and please let everyone else here know. I'm sure that information would be very helpful. And let's see. Oh yes, I should say also that usually I don't participate in Barnes & Noble sales for the simple fact that I don't live in North America. I live here in Tokyo, and unfortunately there are no Barnes & Nobles here in Tokyo. I used to be able to order through the Barnes & Noble website, but that was some years ago, and I don't know, as I said, what the status is of one's ability to be able to order through the Barnes & Noble website if one is ordering from outside the United States or North America. So again, you're going to have to check that just in case. But so that's to say that usually I don't participate in the Barnes & Noble sales, and I usually rely upon the enthusiastic pictures and reports from people who have purchased from Barnes & Noble. So that's what I usually rely on. But in fact, actually, this July, I'll be taking a little bit of a family holiday, about a week in the middle of July, and we will be actually traveling to North America, and there will be a Barnes & Noble near the hotel, so that'll be very nice. So I'll be able to go to the Barnes & Noble directly, and those heavy wood doors, right? And I'll be able to look at the DVD and Blu-ray selections and the Criterion corner, and let's see what happens. So that'll be very exciting. So maybe if I'm able to purchase some Criterion titles, maybe I'll make my own video and let you know what I purchased. So let's do that. I'll make a video of what I purchased, and in exchange, you let me know what you've purchased, and we can go from there. So once again, my friends, let's enjoy this time. It's a great time to be a Criterion fan, and it's wonderful that the Barnes & Noble sale is going on, precisely because Criterions are really great, but they are very expensive, so it's always nice to get them at a discount. 50% off is a considerable discount because these are very expensive. Just remember, please make sure to spend within your means. Don't overspend, right? It's not worth it to overspend on these things. Even with 50% off, it does still add up, so let's spend within our means, of course. But as long as we can do that, and as long as we can just enjoy ourselves, then yes, this is a great time to be a Barnes & Noble. It's a great time to be a Barnes & Noble fan, I suppose, but it's also a great time to be a Criterion fan. So wonderful, wonderful. It's going to be great. I suppose I could make some videos going forward just highlighting a few titles that I think might be worth considering if one is looking for titles to purchase during the Criterion sale. Who knows? There are many titles to choose from, of course, and as you know, the Criterion Collection is very wide-ranging. DVDs and Blu-rays mostly. There is also the Eclipse series. There are also box sets, Satoichi set, Ingmar Bergman set, Jacques Demy, and the World Cinema Project sets and all that, but of course there are the individual releases as well. And so maybe what I'll try to do is I'll try to showcase or highlight a few titles that you might be interested in at least considering if you're in the neighborhood to make some purchases of Criterion titles at Barnes & Noble or elsewhere. So I'll try to do that in the coming days and weeks. So there's that. But if I were to make a few just general suggestions right now, just based on where my own headspace is at and my own feelings are at the moment, I suppose I could mention a few titles just in passing, just again for your consideration. But again, this is just a small sampling of the types of titles that I think are very exciting in the Criterion Collection. But just to let you know where my head is at, I am now visiting or revisiting the film Death in Venice. And so this is Visconti. So this is a recent release from the Criterion Collection earlier this year. And so I'm just visiting the Criterion version of this. I've seen this film before. Actually, I have an old DVD of this, but this is the first time I'm looking at the Criterion release. And so this is quite an overwhelming visual experience and audio experience as well. It does things that I think, I'm not sure how to put it, except it's almost like it's capturing exquisiteness and a kind of moment in time, or moments in time that are just fleeting and just are ephemeral in many ways. And so there is a haunting poetic quality to this film that is truly remarkable. So there's Death in Venice, so Visconti. And speaking of new releases, there's this, Barbara Loden's Wanda. Now, I will plan to speak about this film in detail, as I will Death in Venice very soon, hopefully. But let me say that this is quite possibly a contender for my favorite release from the Criterion Collection this year so far. Now, Wanda is a film that I saw. I had a DVD of it from France, but the DVD wasn't, it was good quality, but my goodness, this film as presented by the Criterion Collection really is almost like it's just an overwhelming revelation in so many senses of that word. I cannot stress enough how gritty and just overwhelmingly powerful this film is. And the presentation here is quite quite monumental, I would say, in many respects. And so I cannot stress enough just how much I truly admire this work. So this is a contender, as I say, for what could be my favorite release of 2019. That'll come hopefully at the end of the year. But anyway, for your consideration, my friends, Wanda. And just going on a different path. Now, one of these days, I do want to speak about the filmmaker Robert Bresson, the French filmmaker Robert Bresson, because I simply adore his works. I adore his works. I was fortunate enough to have been able to see not all, but a number of his works starting from university and just living with them as I grew older. So Pickpocket and Mouchette and A Diary of a Country Priest and L'Argent and Devil, probably, and others. But the one that, or one of the ones that really sticks with me sticks in sort of the walls of my heart, as it were, in a way that's very permanent because of its power and the way it grips me, is this film. Condamné à mort s'est échappé, right? So A Man Escaped. So this is the film from 1956, and this is, I think, a film that not only exemplifies the brilliance of the style, the very unique and some might say austere style that is the filmmaking of Robert Bresson. Not only does this film exemplify that style, but I think it is, in its immediate sense, a really suspenseful work. It is a very suspenseful work. You're on edge from the very beginning. And I find that to be such a brilliant thing because it feels, it's how should I put it? For lack of a better phrase, it feels like an art film on the one hand, but at the same time it's really suspenseful and you're really into it from the very beginning. And so I like that it has a kind of nice dynamism to it, which makes it very easy for me to recommend. And one of these days I do want to talk about the works of Robert Bresson because, as I say, they mean so much to me. Really, they mean so much to me. And so A Man Escaped. Then I think, if some people were asking me, are there films in the Criterion Collection that you would recommend in, let's say, the Western genre? Are there some Criterion Collection that titles that you would recommend in the documentary genre, in the science fiction genre, etc.? So perhaps I'll try, if I'm able to make future videos talking about specific genre works and the Criterion Collection as a means of perhaps giving you some ideas, if you need them, with respect to what you might be thinking about getting if you're so interested. But I know some people also asked about film noir, and maybe I'll try to make a separate video about film noir and the Criterion Collection, just very briefly, of course. But if I were to speak very quickly about film noir now, I would say that, right, this is one, Kiss Me Deadly. You know, the premise behind Kiss Me Deadly is so B-movie-ish, but the way it unfolds, it's like this wild firecracker, because it just goes in all these different places that is so stunning. And it's like this 50s hyper-realized, ultra-gritty, black and white, pulpy, just in-your-face masterpiece that goes everywhere and it goes everywhere, and by the end of it, it's like, what the heck did I just see? That sort of wonderful feeling, you know. And so Kiss Me Deadly, that is again another film that I'd love to speak about one of these days. So that's one, if you haven't seen, oh gosh, you've got to see this one. Here's another one, Stanley Kubrick's The Killing. Now, this is a probably this is a film that is so clever and so tightly constructed, and it also has this suspenseful frenzy to it that makes the film, I think, on the one hand, a wonderful example of the precision, the artistic precision of Stanley Kubrick's style on the one hand. But on the other hand, we've got this real frenzied atmosphere propelling the plot forward with respect to this sort of suspenseful plot of a heist and all that. So again, I love this dynamism here. We've got another combination of, let's say, artistic precision on the one hand, and yet a kind of frenzied propulsion or force based on this suspenseful narrative on the other hand. And you've got one heck of a combination there. Incidentally, you're also going to get here Killer's Kiss, right? Which is another film by Stanley Kubrick, which is a very interesting exploration in early Stanley Kubrick works. So you're getting basically a double feature here, as well as other supplemental materials here in The Killing. So this is one that would be very easy to recommend because it's a classic example of this sort of noir heist film. So anyway, The Killing for your consideration. Okay, my friends, that's it. So let me just end right there and say thank you very much. Once again, please enjoy the Criterion Collection sale at Barnes & Noble. Please let me know if you have a chance what it is you've purchased. I'd love to hear what it is you got. And yeah, let's go from there. So again, please enjoy this time. It's a wonderful time to be a film or a Criterion fan. And so just enjoy yourselves. And yes, I'll try to make more Criterion Collection videos in the coming days and weeks. So until we meet again, my friends, please be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great movies and enjoy yourselves. Okay, cheers.